All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 463. Today is the 27th of September, 2023, and we are going to get rolling here in a couple minutes after some quick announcements. The first one I wanted to touch on, we're going to talk some more about this. I've got a question for Bradley about it, but POFU Live is coming up, starts this Friday. It's going to be Friday and Saturday, the 29th and 30th of September. Tickets are still available. If you hadn't heard, we had to move from in-person to online virtual, which is good for everybody who wouldn't have been able to attend or travel or do that. Now you can attend virtually. Tickets are live at pofulive.com. Other things I wanted to touch on real quick. This is also going to have to do with asking Bradley some questions in a minute about the mastermind. But wanted to tell you too, if you haven't checked out the mastermind, you definitely should. If you're doing local SEO, if you're growing an agency or you're getting started, you've got a couple clients and you want to grow, you want SOPs, you want to be around other people doing the same thing successfully, then you should check out our mastermind. You can find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. So with that out of the way, before we jump into a bunch of stuff, Bradley, are you done with the tech stuff?
I am.
All right. So how are you doing today? A little busy?
A bit overwhelmed with trying to be prepared for Friday and Saturday, but getting there. So I cleared my schedule for tomorrow to get it done. But I was told Adam earlier today, we had a brief meeting. So I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks developing what I wanted to reveal at the live event. And son of a bitch, after weeks and weeks and weeks of preparing and getting everything together. And then on Sunday, we made a significant change this last Sunday, like 3 days ago. So I've spent the entire week scrambling, trying to kind of reconfigure everything and redo the presentation. And I got one more day left to get it done. And so I cleared my schedule for tomorrow, other than I've got the mastermind webinar tomorrow afternoon. But other than that, I cleared my entire schedule so I can try to get the rest of this put back together. I shouldn't have made the change a week before or 5 days before the event, but I didn't want to teach on something that I'd then have to go back a week later and tell everybody, oh yeah, forget that. We're going to do it this way instead. So I figured it'd be better just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off now and get it done. So it's been a very intense week. Let's put it that way. I've been waking up at 3 a.m. every morning just so that I can work on the presentation and reconfiguring the, stuff that I'm doing prior to starting the normal workday, because I still have all the other shit I got to do. You know what I mean? So it's been one of those things. I feel like a zombie right now because I'm so tired, but I got one more day to get it done, and I'll get it done. I always do. So I'm anxious for this event to be over with. Next week will be a little bit of a breather week for me, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, taking a page from Bradley, definitely the same. I was working on the presentation today and was like, okay, I already had everything sketched out, but then it's always, once you get into the details, right? It's like, oh crap, there's 3 more things I need. Then and each one of those needed something. So getting excited about that. Eric in the comments says stoked for POFU. That's awesome, Eric. Yeah, I think you just picked up a ticket today, if I remember correctly. So excited to have you be there. Yeah, everybody else, grab your ticket. I think I posted in the Facebook group earlier today that today's the last day. We're going to extend 24 hours just for time zones, but and there's no hard end for that. We just have to end it before Friday. So want to make sure everybody who wants a ticket gets it today. Yes, you'll be able to get it tomorrow morning, but definitely want to grab it today if you're thinking about going.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other than that, I think we've got a few questions. If you guys have questions in the comments, go ahead and put them in there, because I know we're going to look to get things wrapped up early today, so Bradley can get back to it, get his stuff knocked out, and we're going to take advantage of having a few questions today. So if you guys are in the comments and got questions, by all means, pop them in there, and we'll check them out after we get these pre-posted questions done.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like the perfect storm of just bad timing for me, because I decided I've been in this house for 10 freaking years and I can't wait to get out of here. I've been wanting to move out of this house for like 3 or 4 years, but I was waiting till my daughter left for school, and she did now. So I'm free, and I decided to move, and it just happened to be like now. And so it's crazy because I've been trying to move in the evenings, like pack the house, because I'm leaving on Monday to travel down to where I'm got some property under contract, because I got to spend a few weeks down there to meet the soil engineer and surveyor. Anyway, all this stuff to get ready for closing. And it's just really bad timing because of the live event and all this other stuff, but it is what it is. And so it's like, by 5 o'clock PM, especially this week, I've been working since 3 a.m. in the morning. Well, I get up at 3 a.m. and started work at 4. But, we're talking like a 13-hour day. And then I'm still packing in the evenings. I'm just fucking exhausted. I got to be honest. I can't wait till next week just to have like a little bit of a breather. But anyway, I see some comments in here too, guys. We only have a couple of questions today, so we'll get through this fairly quickly. So might as well chat with you. Jim Wells says, hey, gang, I'm in a doctor's waiting room and forgot my headphones. Someone needs to do sign language or hold up note cards. That's funny. Eric Oliver, stoked for POFU. What's up, Eric? We just had our onboarding call today. That was awesome. He just recently joined the mastermind, and it was a great call today, Eric. Generally, I go a little bit over on those calls, but I had another call scheduled right afterwards, Eric. So please don't take that as I was cutting you off right at the time limit. It was generally I let them run over, but I had another call scheduled. So it was a good call. So thanks. Cool. Okay. And Will's here. What's up, Will? Rick, Cecilia, what's up? Yes, I've been still making it in the mornings other than Monday. I made it so far every day this week. And I plan on being here tomorrow too. Probably won't be here Friday though, Friday morning, because Friday morning we'll be preparing for POFU Live. So I don't think I'll be streaming Friday morning or Monday. I'll be traveling Monday. Anyway, I'm going to grab the screen, guys. Let's jump into this. We only got a couple of questions, so this ought to go fairly quickly. By the way, the fact that we only got a couple of questions is crazy to me. It must mean everybody's just crushing it in SEO right now, which is good. Hey, congratulations to all of you who come by and watch this occasionally. I guess nobody has any questions. That's good. Must mean you're killing it. So congratulations. All right. Ollie's first. He says, what topics do you use for press releases when you're running press releases to Google Business Geo posts? Also, how many publication pickups do you normally expect from one press release? Okay. So I've been teaching about this for like 3 years, specifically on how I use press releases for pushing maps. And that's all I use them for now. I don't, the only time I link directly to a money site with a press release is if I'm trying to correct an imbalance in anchor text ratios, which happens sometimes. Some projects that we get are already have terrible anchor text ratios where they're way over optimized with keywords and things like that. And so a press release to the money site with a brand anchor is a really good way to kind of normalize the anchor text ratio a bit. So I'll do it then. I also build press releases to my directory site. I'll link directly from press releases to my directory site. Do that all day long. In fact, most of the links that have been built to my directory site have been from press releases. And that's I just bring that up because I don't like to use press releases to link to the money site, except for those specific situations that I just described. But for using, if you got a Google business profile with the asset, or with the project, that's perfect, because whatever page that you're trying or post, whatever it is that you're trying to promote on the money site, so the main site, the main self-hosted website, you just summarize that into a Google business post, which is only 1,500 characters, which is roughly 200 to 225 words. Okay. So you just summarize whatever it is that you want to push on the main website into a Google business post, put a nice image on it, then link with the CTA button, the learn more button usually, to the post URL or page URL, whatever it is on the money site. Then you extract the post URL from the Google business website once it's published. And before everybody asks, yes, you can still create a Google business website. I know it's made it harder for us to, in some cases, it doesn't appear naturally like it did in the Google Business Profile Manager. So there's a hack that you have to use to get to it. And I'm going to pull that up again because people ask about this all the time. It's a fantastic article by this guy, Tim from Hypertricks. I encourage everybody to bookmark this. I very rarely ever comment on any sort of post, but I commented on this one because this has been so helpful for a lot of our members. I don't know this gentleman, but I'm seriously appreciative of him posting this because I've shared this with so many people. So I'm going to post this in chat, guys. But anyway, so once you have published the Google business post with the button, the CTA button, linking to whatever it is that you want to promote on the money site, wait till it appears on the Google business site and then go extract the inner page URL from that. So it's like it's a post URL or page URL from the Google business website. I always like to convert it to the alternative format, the format of the GB website that's a more powerful version because it's on the google.com domain as instead of the business.site domain. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, let me stand by for a minute. I'm going to pause the screen and prepare something very quickly. All right, just a second. And I'll demonstrate this too, because we got plenty of time today. All right, so here's an example. Here's an example of a normal Google business website URL. You guys see that? The one on top. All right. That is a normal Google business website URL. It's on the .business or .business.site, whatever subdomain you want to give to it, .business.site. But the same appears on this version, right? So it's business.google.com/website/ whatever the subdomain is that you created when you created or published this Google business site. Does that make sense? And take a look at this, guys. This is the exact same website. So let me just open up one and we'll open up the other. We can go view the metrics in Majestic so you can see the difference. The authority level on google.com is significantly higher than it is on business.site. So I always like to convert it into this version. And I'll just show you how you do that with posts in just a second, okay? So this is the normal version. This, you see the URL. Here's the more powerful version of the URL. They're both the same damn site, okay? So if you take a look at, we just go open up Majestic real quick. What we're going to do, sorry, I was in the wrong goddamn account. That's my fault. Stand by, guys. I got to pause the screen. Usually when I'm doing a live presentation, I log into my other account that doesn't have all my client data in it. And this time I forgot to do that. So I apologize. Give me 1 second. Craig says, should I attend POFU Live? Of course, everyone should. Everyone. Get your family members and invite them too.
Special prices for your pets.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring your pets, your friends, your family, all of that. All right. So I'm going to grab this screen, or excuse me, grab this URL, publish this. And we're going to open up another instance and grab the other version. Okay, so I've not built any links to this version of it yet, which is true because I haven't really done much with this project, but I just wanted to show you now, if we bring this down to the subdomain level, okay, let's take a look at that first. We'll start with the subdomain level. And you can see the subdomain level, because when with the Google business websites, when you create the subdomain, it's not going to have any authority built to it yet because it's brand new, right? So you're not going to have any links built. Now I've built a few links to it this way, again, probably from press releases. So you can see it's not very powerful. We'll look at the root domain here in just a minute. But what's interesting here is you can see the subdomain for business.google.com, right? Very strong compared to this, right? And when you publish a Google business site brand new, it's not going to have any metrics. So why I'm saying is like this right off the bat, as soon as you publish the Google business site, you're benefiting from these kind of metrics, if that makes sense. So there's a huge difference between these two versions as far as the authority level of the domain that they're published on. So what I always recommend, and just to kind of demonstrate this, if we go in and just take a look at one, do I have any posts on here? You got to be kidding me. I don't have any fucking posts. I really don't. It means they've yeah, I need to publish some posts on here. So if we can just find any one of the Google business posts, that it's the same format. Stand by 1 second. I'll open up the file and show you what that looks like. Okay, here we go. So hopefully you guys see this. This is the difference in how you would format the post URLs. So the normal post URL looks like this. So it's whatever your subdomain is, .business.site/post/post ID, which is just a string of numbers. And then to convert that into this other format so that you have the Google business post URL that is on the stronger subdomain, then that's how you do it. So I'm going to post these into our post these in chat, guys, so you have these. But all I'm saying is, to get back to the original question, I know that was a long-winded way to get to it, but first I wanted to explain why I do this, okay? Because it's much stronger this way. So when creating whatever it is, it's not difficult to publish a press release or have a press release written and published when you're promoting a normal page or post on the website, right? That's what your end goal is. But I don't want to link directly to that. I always want to buffer it through the Google Business Asset if possible. So that's why, like I said, just summarize the page or the post into a Google Business post, 200 to 225 words, use the CTA button to link to the post URL on the money site, then wait for it to publish on the GB website, get the inner page URL from that post, and then convert it to this alternate format. That becomes your target URL for your press release. Does that make sense? And you can hit that with an exact match, or what I call a target anchor. It could be a target or topic anchor. The target anchor is keyword plus location modifier. A topic anchor is keyword only. Okay. So when I say target keyword plus location modifier, it can be keyword plus city, or city plus keyword, or keyword plus near me, or one of the variants of near me. So like nearby, in my area, around me, close to me, etc. So all of that is just to say you can be a lot more aggressive linking to these than you can your money site. So you can push keyword relevance through these posts, which are Google assets, which can help maps to rank, which ultimately will benefit the money site too through the CTA button. But that's buffered because the anchor text is learn more if you're using the learn more button. So the anchor text is learn more. So you're buffering kind of all of those keyword anchors through a what I call miscellaneous, or another term for that would be generic anchor. So it's a fantastic way to kind of push link equity, right? Juice through a Google business asset to the money site without a direct link to the money site. And it works really well. So I like to do this. And then usually in the press release, I'll publish a second link, which will be either a Google business review share URL or a link to the Google Map share URL for the same location, if that makes sense. Because again, then it's just more about sending signals to the map, the Google business profile, than it is anything else. So hopefully that's clear. Looks like that didn't separate properly. And guys, let me see if I put the way it posted in chat didn't come out right. Let's try it this way. That's better. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, guys, I'm going to move on. Hopefully that was a good question, or a good answer, excuse me. How many pickups or publication pickups, excuse me, do you normally expect from one press release? Well, I use Press Advantage, and it's like 440-ish. Excuse me. So somewhere around 400 pickups or whatever, but I don't care about that. I really don't care about what the volume is. That really doesn't matter to me, because there's only a few of them that, in my opinion, matter much. So, but yeah, so I think Press Advantage is somewhere around 440, 447, something like that. So, and that's it. I don't use any other press release services, just Press Advantage. Okay. Right on. Okay. So, next question is from Adam. Well, I think Adam reposted this. Will, I figured out you can extract the post ID even before it's on the GBP site and paste it on the above. No kidding. I've always tried to find that post ID from like the share URLs that you get from either, organic search or from maps, and it never has the same string of characters. So in the mastermind, Will, I'd love to find out how you do that. If you don't mind sharing that in the mastermind community, that would be fantastic to know. As I've always had to wait, and my whole entire team just waits until it appears on the GB website before we can extract that post URL. So my whole team's been trained to publish the post and then just come back 24 hours later and get the post URL. Seriously, that's what they do. So if there's another way to do it, I'm all ears, man. I'd love to know it. All right, so Adam posted this. I believe this came from a comment in the Hump Day Hangout replay from last week.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Does Semantic Mastery Mastermind include training materials like SOPs that can be used by VAs? Yes, that is precisely why I create them in SOP format, so that you can work through them, but it's so that you can assign them to VAs. Now, I want to clarify something right now. I develop all of the training now, other than other webinars and, text posts in our community, other than the webinars and like normal, posts in our community. All the training that I produce is done in SOP format, because that's how I train all of my team members. That's how I do all of the training. I try to provide you guys, our members, with the SOPs so that they can assign workflows to their team members. Okay, so I explained that, right? I do everything in SOP format. But the platform that I use is called Flowster, and Flowster used to have a free option, and they no longer have a free option. So it costs $28 a month to use Flowster. There had been some whining in our group about having to pay for $28 a month in order to access the Flowster app, which is the SOP software application that we use. And look, I understand if you're paying for a mastermind, you don't also want to have to pay $28 a month to use an SOP platform, to have a subscription for an SOP platform. But the amount of detail that I put into these SOPs is incredible. And the ability to be able to run workflows from an SOP template and assign it to a VA and allow them to work through it. And the efficiency of that is so valuable that anybody that is complaining about $28 a month to have access to SOP software with fully developed SOPs that they don't have to create and spend countless hours developing themselves. In my opinion, if $28 is that hard on you, get out of the goddamn business, right? Your priorities are way out of line if you can't pay for $28 to use SOP software. And I know some people don't like it when I say that. I don't really care, honestly, because in my opinion, the $28 a month is absolutely worth it when you have really well-developed SOPs that you don't have to spend the time doing. How much is your time worth more than $28 an hour? If so, I mean, I spend hours and hours and hours developing these SOPs, guys, so that you don't have to. Of course, I do recommend that you go in and modify them to be specific to your needs and things like that, but you have the foundation delivered to you, handed to you. And for $28 a month minimum, there's some upgrades and things like that that you can, whatever. At the bottom line, the bare minimum, $28 a month is, if you pay annually, I think it's like $24 a month or whatever. So all I'm trying to say is, I think if $28 a month is too difficult for you to pay for, you probably need to get out of business. Because again, the value is absolutely there. So I just want to preface all of that up front, just because, like I said, I feel very strongly about that. I can tell, because I know a lot of people waste a lot of money on a lot of stupid shit in our industry. And this is something that is incredibly valuable because it saves so much time. It's such an efficient way to train and manage employees, subordinates, et cetera, that in my opinion, it's hands down one of the best investments you can make, is having an SOP application, especially when somebody is providing with done for you SOPs, right? Whether you use my exact SOPs or not, I don't care. At least you have a foundation that you can build upon, or you can model your own SOPs that you can start to develop for your specific needs based upon the SOPs that I've been developing, which I've been doing that for freaking years. So all of that is to just come back and say, I wanted to preface very clearly that in order for you to access the SOPs the way that I intend you to, you're going to need a Flowster account. I actually had a call I just mentioned with Eric earlier today, an onboarding call, a new mastermind member. And I was explaining to him the same thing because we, in our circle community, and I can just demonstrate this really quickly. In our circle community, we have the SOP section right here. And Adam, God bless him, we were trying to accommodate the people in the group that didn't want to pay for Flowster, and started to convert some of our Flowster SOPs in, and I'll demonstrate what one of these looks like in a minute, into Notion format, excuse me. The problem with the Notion format, though, is I am constantly updating the SOPs, and like all the time I'm in there updating and changing things. And every time I make a change in the SOP, the original, which is in Flowster, I can click a button and it automatically updates all the workflows that have been running off of that template. And I can notify the group members, excuse me, that a template has been updated, and they can re-import the updated template, so that then they have all the updates in their accounts. If we tried to take a lot of our SOPs and convert them, we did several of them, converted them into Notion for those that didn't want to pay for a Flowster. The problem with that is every time I make a change in the SOP template, the main, then we have to duplicate that change in Notion. And honestly, I don't have the time or the desire to do that. And it's just way too cumbersome, especially because I'm constantly modifying the SOPs. It's just not sustainable to do it that way. So I finally made the decision, like, I'm going to continue producing the SOPs in Flowster format. That's how they're going to be delivered. And I hope everybody can understand why. It's very, very important. It's very inexpensive cost to have access to stuff that is, in my opinion, incredibly valuable for managing and operating an agency. So to get back to the question, do we have SOPs that you can use to train your VAs and all that kind of stuff? Yes, that is precisely what all of these are for, right? And there's a bunch here, but I'm been working this entire year in 2023 on a whole new sequence of SOPs for what I'm calling the directory hybrid agency, which all of those SOPs will be available for all mastermind members. Full stop. Like, if you're in the mastermind, you'll get all the SOPs. The specific directory hybrid agency program which has its own kind of additional coaching and everything else. That's going to be a separate tuition and everything else. But the SOPs, all mastermind members will have access to those. So the full DHA program will be accessible in SOP format to anybody that's in the mastermind. So you pay mastermind pricing, you get access to this entire program that I've been working on this entire year. So all of that, let me just get in here and I'll just show you an example. So here's an example of one of the, like I'm in SOPs all the time, like daily. I'm in here daily. That is not a joke. So here's an example of, let's go into here, GBP optimization process. This is what it looks like on the, when you run a workflow. So a template is where you create the SOP and then you run a workflow from the template, and that's what you work through is the workflow. So this is how I would do it. So let me just go back to the template. This is what it looks like in template view. Okay, so this is the Google Business Profile SOP. All right, this is what for Google Business Optimization SOP. So this is what it looks like in templated format. Okay, and then if I want to go to run a workflow off of this, what I do is click New Workflow. Then what I always do is I retitle it for, in this case, I'd say like GBP. And then let's just give, we were looking at, I think, Genesis Tree Service Leesburg. So I'm going to say GTS Leesburg, so that we title it after the project that this workflow is going to be applied to, if that makes sense. And then I always put in, whoever I'm assigning it to. So I'm just going to say, me in this case, and I would assign it to myself or one of my team members. I got a bunch of team members in here, as you can see. So whoever it is that I'm assigning it to, I'm just going to select them and assign it to them. Okay. I'm going to click Create Workflow. Now here it is in workflow view. This is way better than the template view. And this is a very, very clean interface. And that they call it Flowster for a reason. It flows very well. I can do all kinds of stuff in here: text, video, file uploads, images, checklists. Just a number of, you can create dependent workflows, conditional workflows, all kinds of stuff. Like, it's really, really cool. But the point that I like about this is I can, now that this has been assigned to Bradley, so my worker, right? Bradley comes in and he can, come right to this first one and start checking these off as they're being completed. And if the employee, whoever it is, they run into an issue, okay, they get to a specific point, they can always comment right here, and you can set up notifications to send you an email, SMS, integrate with Zapier. You can do all kinds of stuff, send a Slack message, whatever. Somebody can come in here and comment, and you can jump in because you got notification that, they commented, and you can jump in and say, oh, they got stuck here, and provide assistance. And then they can pick right back up where they left off. They can leave, come back, next week, and they can pick right back up where they left off. And some of these say, one field needs to be completed first. So this is saying they can't even check this module off until all of these boxes are checked. Now, I don't do all of my SOPs this way. I only do the ones that I'm like training brand new, like green people that don't really know anything. I do it very specific checklists like this. But for my more experienced VAs, things like that, I just do written steps along with videos and supporting, supporting materials, et cetera. But the point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is very, very thorough. Very, very thorough. I try to do all of my SOPs this way because this is how I train all of my team members, and I've been building SOPs for freaking years. So, and they evolve over time. More recently, and just very quickly, I'll show you the last kind of the ones that I've been working on that I'll be releasing most of these SOPs next month in October. But if we go into the DHA stuff, for example, the one that I've been working on for the last few weeks is Brand Builder. You can take a look again, guys, just to clarify, like you can see this one was actually applied to a client location, right? You can see it. So these are one of the more newer recent ones that I've been working on. I'm still I was in there today, actually adding to it. So this is, again, very, very thorough. This goes through an entire business in a box, a productized service that we are launching next month called Brand Builder. And all of this, for every team member, this is one big SOP that has the team members who are assigned to each one of these tasks are all listed here. And it's incredibly thorough, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Flowster has been absolutely fantastic since I think I got connected with Flowster 2, maybe 3 years ago. And I love it. I really do. I think it's absolutely worth the cost to be able to have training very clearly in this format, which makes it so much easier to train people, manage them, et cetera. So Anyway, hopefully that's clear, guys. I hope that makes sense. This is all of everything that's available in the mastermind currently is, where the hell did I go? I lost, there it is, right here. Is currently in the SOP module here. You can see a bunch of the links here. This is for the directory stuff. Some of this is going to be simplified. That's what I've been working on next month when I go to release all the new SOPs. Kind of the directory process and some of that stuff will be consolidated. It will be simpler. It won't be as much tech setup for members and things like that. So that's just so you guys know, there's a bunch of them here. Okay. A bunch. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, everything that I do is in SOP format anymore. All right. So hopefully that's clear. Okay. That was a good question. I appreciate that question. Moving on. Bernard says, if I join the mastery group, will I have access to the person who gets my GBP verified? Thank you. No, we don't verify GBPs, Bernard. I'm sorry. That's not what we do. Semantic Mastery is a coaching group, training group, not a done for you service group. So I'm sorry, but we won't do that for you. Okay. I think that's it. We got a few comments, I think, and that's probably it, right?
Yeah, let's take a look. I was looking over here. I don't think. Oh, if I scroll up, somebody had a question. Where was that? Jim.
Yeah, I think I just saw it. The StackSEO group.
Yep.
David Morgan could answer that. Yeah, I think he did. He said, that's what I do, Jim. A few geo coordinates also converted to an address, and that's my ADDI to use. Yeah, I joined StackSEO. It'll be 3 years ago in January. I've never used it. I swear to God. I've been paying. I pay annually because I wanted to support Braulio. Braulio is cool. He's a former mastermind member, and I've and I know David uses the shit out of it. So I've been paying for it annually. In January, it'll be the 3rd year. Never fucking used it. So I can't answer the question about StackSEO. Sorry, but David can. David's a ninja at that. So there you go. Jim says, related question. Is it better to list no address at all if the address Google has in GBP listing is but yes, I would. Absolutely. I mean, I have some locations, lead gen locations under the TreeCare HQ brand, actually, that I've published the street address. It was for testing purposes that were registered to either PO boxes or Staples office centers, et cetera, and where you can rent mailboxes and things. And just to see if publishing the street address would provide a ranking boost in maps. And it sure as hell did, even though they were like clearly, rented mailboxes. It absolutely does still work. However, you can get suspended for that. Even if not immediately, like somebody could report it or somebody from Google could see it, whatever. The point is I know it can be suspended. So I've done that in this year, 2023, on 3 different lead gen locations that I had that were all rented mailbox addresses. And 2 of them took the publishing the street address, like it allowed me to publish the street address without, because they were unpublished prior. And I published the street address for testing purposes. And the first 2, it took no suspension. And within 3 to 7 days, I can't remember, I could go back and look at the Bright Local reports and see it, but saw significant jump in rankings and maps within a week from doing nothing other than publishing the street address. I did that for 2, and I went to go do it on the 3rd, and the 3rd one triggered re-verification. And that's TreeCare HQ Winchester. That's one that I've shown on many examples. And that son of a bitch is still, it's in re-verification status because I can't re-verify it. It's still live. It's still published. I just can't make any changes. I can't publish any Google business posts. I can't do anything. I can't make any edits, but it's still, it's still published. So it's back in re-verification status, but it's still published on the web, if that makes sense. So this one does not show a street address because and this is the one that, like I said, this was the 3rd time that I was trying to show the street address, and this one's registered to a Staples in Winchester, a Staples, office store or whatever in Winchester. And I went to go publish this street address to see if I could get the same ranking boost that I did from the other 2. And it went in the re-verification status, but it's still online. So I'm not touching it. I'm leaving it. Right. It's still there. So anyway. I wouldn't publish it, Jim, is what I'm saying. I mean, I did it for testing purposes, and the two that I tested on, or the three that I tested on, the two are still live today, and they've maintained their ranking boost. But I expect at any moment for those to be suspended. They were two that I've not really done much with. That's why I tested. But then I was like, okay, I was unsuccessful on two, and Tree Care HQ Winchester was a location I was actively working on, in part because I've been developing a lot of the training for this DHA program using that location and another location. So I was hoping to see kind of ranking boost on that one too. And it triggered re-verification, which sucks because, like I said, that's one that I've been using to develop training, and now I can't do any edits to it, and it sucks. I can't, there's no way I can re-verify it. I tried to, I went and submitted it to Yext Power Listings after it went into re-verification status, because I figured if I could get Yext Power Listings to kind of corroborate the name, address, and phone number information, that it might allow me to re-verify via phone or email. I've actually, with about 6 weeks ago, I had a tree service contractor client in the Boston, Massachusetts area who wanted to expand maps. And I told him, look, you can't do it. Like, we can't push your map any more than we have. So if you want more map ranking, we need other GB locations. And so I created a workspace account for him for when I first took over his, started managing his first and only Google Business location at the time. I created a workspace account. I do that for all clients. And so what I did was I went into that workspace account and created a new Google Business profile for another location. And it was one of his employees that lived in a different county or whatever, that he said we could use his address. And I was able to do a phone verification, like phone call verification, no video verification, no postcard, nothing, just straight up phone call verification, because I created the Google Business profile under an aged workspace account that was associated with that brand. So he wanted to expand to a third location about a month later. And I said, well, let's give it a try. So he got another employee's address, and we went in and went to go set it up, and that triggered video verification. So we've got two new GB listings in his workspace account, one which was verified and it's live now through phone verification, and then the other one which is in pending verification status. And I actually had a call, that's Adam, yesterday, why I had to get off the corporate meeting at 4 p.m. because I had a call with the arborist that he assigned. We used his address. So his worker that works for that tree company had a call with him, a Zoom meeting yesterday with him to try to guide him through the video verification process. But for whatever reason, the Google Business Manager invitation was not showing up in his inbox. So I told him we'd have to reschedule for next week. So we've not been able to verify that one yet. But I just bring that up because I think the Google Business stuff, it's really interesting what's going on right now with that. You can still occasionally get verification through just email or phone. It's rare though, very rare. I think I was hoping, that's what I started to say. I was hoping that using Yext Power Listings to allow the listing to be well optimized and kind of corroborate the name, address, and phone number information, and allowing them to age a little bit, season a little bit. So 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, something like that. And then go and try to verify at that time. That I've actually been successful with that a couple of times too, but I've never attempted until recently, once something goes into re-verification status, then adding it to Yext Power Listings to see if somehow it will allow a different option at a later time to re-verify instead of video verification. That's still pending. I have no idea if that's going to update and allow me to do that or not. It hasn't as of yet. So hopefully that's clear. Craig says, what can I expect to learn at POFU Live? Well, there's a lot of presenters that are going to be talking about technical SEO stuff, like just SEO stuff. And that's why I decided to focus more on the business side of things and making money from SEO. So that's my presentation is going to be about, I mean, if you're in the mastermind, Craig, you're going to get all that information anyways, just not all in one big lump sum like we do at POFU Live. So you'll get the information I'm going to share, which is the business stuff. So.
Yeah, and if you want to check out the rest of the speakers and topics or general areas, just head over to pofulive.com. We got them all lifted out if you scroll down the page.
Yeah. Anselmo says, what's up, Anselmo? He says, question, would creating a blog in the money site increase the topical authority of the overall domain? Yes. I was thinking of adding CTR5 WordPress. I tested with that, but that was, God, it had to be a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago now, actually. I'm sure Alberto from CTR5 has improved that plugin. I'm quite sure because he's put a lot of development into CTR5. So, but it's had to have been 2 years since I've tested with the plugin. So I don't have any. 2 years ago, I wasn't impressed with it. It's probably a hell of a lot better now, but I've not tested with it. But yes, absolutely, Anselmo, you can create topical authority by adding more content to your site. Jim says, in this case, the address is published, but it says the business is inside the post office. Is it better to leave it showing it's there? I don't know, Jim. I don't. The ones that I was describing, I just show, it shows the address and then the number, which is the box number for a PO box if it's a US post office. I'm not sure what the best strategy is for that, Jim. I don't know. And someone says continuation, adding the CTR5 WordPress plugin to create a blog in the money site and then create internal links to the main pages, services, and location pages. Yeah, I mean, probably. I've not tested with that, but I have done some testing fairly recently, although limited testing with Link Whisper to use my directory site to link to local pages because my directory site is all about tree service contractors. So I figured why not use internal links from the directory site, because tree service and tree removal and tree trimming and all the keywords associated with tree service industry are all over the fucking directory site and the business descriptions of other. Look, if they're not paying clients of mine, I will absolutely insert a link into their business description to one of my assets, because if they're on my free directory and they're not paying to be on my directory, I'm going to use their business description to link to my stuff. You know what I mean? So the Link Whisper plugin is great for the directory site because you can set you can set some rules in there or whatever to allow to treat external domains as internal links and things like that. So you set exclusions or permissions, etc. So I like to take the directory site and set geo targeting. You can do that by category or tags, and you can go in and say, like, I only want, tree trimming, tree removal, stump grinding, etc. I want these keywords that are within this geographic category. Anytime that they appear in a post or a business description on the directory, I want it to create a link to this asset, right? And so it's a way to create like links from the directory site that is fully relevant, topically relevant, to assets that I want to rank. And I'm using the business descriptions of just, free directory members or listing members. So it's a pretty good strategy. So I'm assuming in some way you can do something similar with CTR5. So yeah, I would test with it for sure. Isn't that my standard answer to your questions, Anselmo? You ask questions all the time that I just say, I'd test with it. It's got to be frustrating. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so Nigel was up. Brad, took me a minute to find where I was. Another way for you to post to show up in the business.google, you can go click on it, edit, and say, yes, correct. Correct. Yeah, but see, I don't give my VAs access to manager access to the Google Business Profiles. Instead, what we do is we associate the Google Business Profiles to a posting app. I use OneUp app. So I've got myself and like two of my team members that will log, like all of my clients. They add a workspace account email to Google Business Profile Manager, and that workspace account email is what then connects to OneUp app, so that all of my team members can access all the Google Business Profiles through the app. So we're actually publishing through the API, not directly through the Google Business Profile Manager, if that makes sense. So my client, or excuse me, my team don't have access to be able to do what you just said, but yes, that will work. Okay. And someone says, would you recommend disavowing indexers backlinks? Indexers backlinks after the pages have been, no. Do you still use Omega? Yes. I still use Omega and speed links and AI indexer, which is Damon Nelson's. And more recently for cloud stacks, which I don't do much of those, but more recently I started testing with Colinkry, which is also owned by the same company as Omega Indexer. It's a crawler, not an indexer. Remember, guys, for a link to create benefit, to provide value, it doesn't have to be indexed. It just needs to be crawled. So this is a crawler, which is good for high volume stuff because it basically tries to force Google to crawl the URLs, whether it indexes them or not, isn't really matter. So this is something that I like to use. It's a lot less expensive for doing high volume stuff like cloud stack pages and things like that. I've been testing with this recently and it seems to work because I've had some of my, what I'm calling local landers. I'll be doing training on that next month in the mastermind, uses cloud stacks to create local pages. And then I just take the sitemap, extract the URLs from the sitemap, and then paste them in here to Colinkry. And usually within a week, most of all the pages in the stack are indexed. So this is a pretty good one too. And as far as disavowing links, I don't recommend doing that unless you suspect there is an actual problem from those links. I used to disavow stuff a lot more than I do now. I try not to do that now because Google just ignores links if they're not relevant most of the time now. I mean, that's part of what the core algorithm does now because of natural language, right? It can very quickly algorithmically determine if a link is relevant. And if a link is not relevant, Google ignores it. It doesn't automatically means it's toxic or harmful. It can be toxic or harmful, but just because it's not relevant doesn't automatically mean so. It just means Google's ignoring it. So I've really kind of gotten away from doing disavowing unless I suspect there is some sort of an algorithmic link penalty being applied. And then I will start disavowing to see if I can trigger recovery that way, if that's clear. Otherwise, I just leave most links now. Like even those scraper sites, man, those, I think we could use Genesis Tree Service Leesburg as an example because it has, I believe I was looking, I was looking at this earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday. Yeah. Okay. This is a perfect example right here. You see this? See that right there? This is the link graph inside of Majestic. That right there is awful. Okay. That is fucking awful. That is a huge footprint. So, but that's not links that I built. Those, if we go take a look at backlinks and you'll see that these are those scraper sites, those stupid scraper sites that pull in your, let's see if I can just find one of them. Why is it not showing the backlinks? Anyways, let's go up back to the summary and I'll take a look at this. So what I'm saying here is if we take a look at this image right here, guys, it says right here, there are link graph shows there are 130 links joining 49 domains, giving a ratio of 2.65 links per each domain. This high number of interlinking sites, this is a high number of interlinking sites and may suggest that this site is close to a link network. However, if you take a look at those backlinks that are pointing to that, those are like scraper sites, those long where you click on the backlink and it's a page of nothing but hundreds, if not thousands of domains. And it's just pages and pages and pages of that. Those are scraper sites. They're absolutely worthless links. Okay. So in the past, that used to concern me. And I used to go like, oh man, I should go disavow all these scraper sites that are linking to my site. I don't even care about that anymore. It's so common. Google just ignores that stuff. Right. So only if I think there's actually, is it causing a problem? Am I going to investigate that? And I'm curious now why that didn't show up in the backlink profile, though. It must be linking to, that's interesting. So those seem to be linking to TreeCare HQ. But here's an example of what I mean. If we just go look at this backlink, let's go take a look. God damn it. Try this one. Look at that shit. That's awful. But if you were to just go look at one of these, like just go to the pages menu and take a look at one of these pages, like this is what I'm talking about. This, you see this a lot in backlink profiles. Total garbage. These links are absolutely worthless. And so in the past, I used to disavow that stuff. I don't bother with that anymore because they're not providing any relevance. It's interesting because sometimes those links will have a high trust flow value. And that is precisely a good example of why looking at third-party metrics means nothing, because some of these scraper sites have really high trust flow values, like in the 20s, sometimes 30s. But because they're not relevant, it's not providing any beneficial value whatsoever. So what good is that trust flow metric? It means nothing. So that's why, and that's what I've adopted for all third-party metrics. They mean nothing unless there's relevance determined first. Then those metrics become important. But if they're not relevant, I don't care. Unless there's always outliers, guys. There are some times where you can get a link from an incredibly powerful source that isn't relevant and it still moves the needle, still provides an effect. But that's rare. That is more an exception, not the rule. So what I'm saying is if you have links that typically, trust flow value 35, oh man, that's got to be a strong link. Nope, not if it's not relevant. It's not going to help at all. So the point that I'm trying to make is like, third-party metrics don't mean anything to me unless I can prove they're relevant first. That is a secondary metric. If you're looking at two different link sources and you can determine both are relevant, then those third-party metrics become kind of the deciding factor, right? What has the higher trust flow? An appropriate topical trust flow category, or as long as the link is relevant, then the trust flow becomes important. I really don't care about Moz metrics and Ahrefs and all that anymore. But if I did, I would look at those metrics only after I've already determined the link source is relevant. That's clear. Okay. Will Scott says co-linkry, Omega indexer, and what? Speedlinks-net or speed-links.net. I've been using that one for probably 2 years. This is a good one. I use the VIP plans, this here. So this is speedlinks.net. Again, I've got everything listed right here. I use booster pages. That acts as an indexer too. AI indexer, which is using the booster pages network for indexing. So these are very similar. Then speedlinks-net or speed-links.net, excuse me. Omega indexer, co-linkry. I use Index Me Now for what we call custom rebuilds at Semantic Links. So those are the ones that I use right there. And someone says, thanks for the suggestions. You're welcome, man. Someone, as always. Bing actually just removed their disavow tool. I never did. I never even looked at that. Bing pays attention to links. I didn't know that. No, I'm kidding. Man, I haven't seen an indexing tool since 2017. I believe now more than ever, I'm starting to figure out what will force Google to take action with my properties. So I'm curious to see what tools actually do the trick so I can give educated answers when asked. Syndication beats indexers, Will says. I agree. I totally agree. And that's kind of what Booster Pages does, because Booster Pages just syndicates a URL with those pin images. It's not super powerful for backlink building. It's more of an indexer. And we promoted it last year. I use the shit out of Booster Pages for everything. We use it heavy. We got 3 enterprise accounts or whatever for Booster Pages. And we max out I think you get 3,000 link credits per month. And I got 3 of them and we max it out every month. Like we always don't have enough credits to do all the stuff that we need. Because we just use the Booster Pages for our niche blogs and our local blogs too. So, and it's all fed via RSS feed. So all we do is once we publish a niche relevant blog or a local blog, we take the RSS feed and submit it to Booster Pages. And that's it. We're done. We never have to touch it again. Every time we publish a post to that blog, it's going to automatically syndicate or submit to Booster Pages, which then pushes out, syndicates out. And so that's, again, it's like an automated syndication method. It's not particularly powerful for backlinks, but it's really good for indexing. So anyway, okay, guys, that's it. I can't believe it. We stretched 3 questions to a whole hour. Can you believe it? That's skill.
We have done it.
All right. Thanks, Adam, for hanging out. And thanks, everybody, for being here. See you guys mastermind webinar tomorrow and then POFU Live Friday.
Awesome.